Well, hello, we are getting back into gardening. It is late February, just about March, and guess what? It's a nice day. So it's the perfect day to trim some fruit trees. These are all about 5 or 6 years old when I started planting a new orchard because the old one at the farm here, it was just getting old and outdated and a lot of the trees were getting done. So I planted new ones and I have really been nurturing them to have the shape I want, which is an open vase shape. But today we are going to trim them, and you want to trim them when it's cold or when the sap isn't flowing yet, because that means it's going to stress them the least. So what we're going to do is come in here and we are going to start trimming out any of the branches that go inward or cross each other. So if you look at my main branches that are going outwards, you can see all the main branching, but then you see all these small branches and see how they clip inwards, like this one, it's clipping in and up. You want to trim that off with a nice sharp pruners. You want it to be sharp. You want to trim it at a slight angle so water doesn't sit on it. And then we're going to go through and do that to any of the ones that are pointing straight in or upwards. So these are what you call suckers. These are suckers because what they're doing is sucking the energy out of a tree. They're not going to be fruit bearing. They're going to start clogging the tree to be too prone and to be too dense with foliage. You want a fruit tree to be able to be open, airy, and really let the light come in. So I'm going to go through, and do you see here how this one's crossing? They're crossing each other. Those two suckers are going to cross each other, and that's not going to help. So I'm going to trim them both off because they're both going inward. And we're going to keep trimming any of the ones that go straight in or any of the ones that cross. And you are going to start seeing how this tree is going to open up. When you open up a tree in the center like this, what you're doing is letting light and air and circulation just down into this tree to help ripen the fruit at all angles, on the top, on the bottom. And this is really going to open up and give it a nice shape, but also just give it good fruit production. Because let's be honest, when you have a fruit tree, what do you want? You want fruit production. So that's why we're going through and making sure to trim this properly so it can put the energy into fruit production. So I'm going to keep trimming, and then we'll show you the difference this really makes. So you can see this is already starting to really open up, and it looks scary at first to trim a fruit tree like this because you think, oh no, I'm going to kill the tree. No, you're not. You're adding a lot more areas where small little twigs will be able to grow fruit, bloom easier, have more light and air circulation, which really is better for the tree. So what do you want to do when you get to some branches maybe that are a weak point for the tree? And I'll show you why that is. If you look closely at these, see how they're coming out and then going straight up? This is going to be way too heavy for this tree, and it's going to start being a weak point as it grows straight up like that. So what I'm going to do is actually take a little bit bigger, a little saw here, and I'm going to trim this off with my little saw so it has a better shape and isn't a weak point. There we go. So this is now just to discard like the other ones. I throw them on the ground, then I'll come back and pick them up. The point is here, you can slowly start seeing how the tree is having a better shape. It's more open, and we're just getting those weak points that are going to be hard on the tree. We're getting them out of there. What pruning also does is make it easier to actually pick the fruit. Because if the tree goes too straight upwards and has all this center branching, it's really hard to get up there and pick the fruit. So as we go outwards, we're able to pick the fruit easier. You can see now, I am ready for this tree to mostly have a great season. It's starting to get a great shape. I love the overall structure it gets, and it's starting to be really healthy and vigorous. Look now at this next tree. See all the intergrowth on it compared to this tree? All of this would crowd out blooms and potential fruit. So what we need to do is the same thing. We need to take our pruners and start getting all these little suckers. See all these suckers in here and how they're pointing inwards? We need to start getting all these out of here so we can really open up this tree. Pretty much if you talk to any old time garden orchard person, they're all gonna have a different thought process on what they do. The open vase shape is how I form all my trees. But when it goes to pruning them like this, really what you're doing is trimming off all the excess twigs, all the twigs that are sucking life out of the tree and not gonna produce fruit this year. But you're probably saying, wait, how do I know what ones to cut and what ones not to? Let's get in here and look. If you look at these ones that are going straight up or they're going inwards and crossing each other, you know they need to come off. So like this one, going straight up, we're gonna trim it right off. This one over here going straight up, we're gonna trim it off. And the thing is, you're gonna start seeing that you're opening up the tree and you're starting to trim off all that excess branching. And that's the important part. So don't, if you have fruit trees and you've never done this, don't be too concerned. Just start trimming off all these excess ones that are crossing and going inwards. You can see right up here, all these are going inwards. We're gonna take them off. We're gonna take them off, they're crossing. And what you're slowly starting to see is, do you see how now you can see inside of the tree? It's opening up. That's what you wanna do. Are you ready for some shock and awe? I know, it looks scary, doesn't it? I sometimes get reprimanded by people who aren't used to seeing this, but the thing is, on younger fruit trees like this, it's really essential to get their overall shape right in the beginning. So I trim out a lot of the suckers so I can make sure to get my base tree looking good. Now you can see I kept on a few small ones that show that they have nice buds on them. See how these little buds on the end? These little ones out here that have all these little buds, they'll have flowers. Now, the thing is to remember, pear trees, apple trees, they get the best fruit production usually on 2-year-old wood, on wood that's been there for 2 years. So all this has been there 2 years, so I'm gonna get the best fruit production out of these main branching. And that's what's really gonna make sure I get good fruit. And that's why I opened this up, so this branching can get the good fruit. And you can see now the structure and the shape, it's getting really beautiful. Don't be caught up in the open vase versus pear shape versus, you know, what your tree shape might be. More be worried about taking out all the suckers that are going inwards, crossing each other, or going straight up because they're just sucking life out of the tree. And if you trim a lot of those out, even of an established large tree with a different shape than this one, you're gonna be so far ahead and get much more fruit production. So trimming it really helps. It makes a huge difference. You'll be surprised how much more fruit you're gonna get. And guess what? I have more trees to get to. So I'm gonna keep getting to them. So follow me, but you know what? Share this video around so everyone can see it's worth planting a fruit tree and doing a little bit of pruning.